These people are too powerful. Now, if you disagree with me, explain to me why within a literal 48-hour period of a news report that Epstein was intelligence, the guy in the Trump administration that cut the deal doesn't answer the question and then is forced to resign. Does that make sense to you if he's not intelligence?
Well, he was forced to resign because there was public uproar. Because I remember it came up because he got slapped with the wrist. There was one report. There was one report.
Just say
out of
that's
all
not
the
true.
reporting, hold on. Out of all the reporting, I believe, if I don't remember which one, there was one that mentioned a possible intelligence. Others saying, like, he was rich and powerful, and that he managed to get away because he was rich and powerful, as many would say, is like there's two. Hold on, Johnny. Let me go to Johnny to answer this, because that's where I'm trying to understand this. I don't understand the argument. If he's, let's say you're 100%, let's say everything you're saying, they want it for compromise. So why then? So then we're in agreement that Trump played everybody.
Brother, that's where we are in agreement.
Yes.
We all agree.
Can I say something that people don't really know?
Go ahead, Johnny.
No one really knows this, so this is something that's really interesting, and you should all know this. Listen, Trump in 2017 put Matthew Pottinger, who's Stanley Pottinger, Bradley Edwards' law partner, who was the one who was the CIA. He put his son, Matthew Pottinger, in charge as executive deputy national security advisor. And I believe that is the moment where the operation to take down Jeffrey Epstein started. And from that point on, the next 2 years, it was really the plan of, listen, there's way too much skeletons in that closet. There's arms dealing, there's influence, there's him traveling around with the former president, meeting leaders all around the world and planning or other forms of programs and operations in other countries. So obviously there's a load of skeletons in the closet. Let's just end it. 2017, the operation began. Matthew Pottinger moved in next door to his father. He also, some people who were involved in the case also set up a fake company called the Federal Enforcement Bureau or something like that it was called, and then they went to take down Jeffrey Epstein properly. And whether they were involved in the murder of Jeffrey Epstein, I don't know, or the supposed suicide of Jeffrey, I don't know. But I can tell you from 2017 that was Trump.
This is very important. I don't understand, because if our thesis is right, and most of on this panel are in, there's a consensus that he was intelligence and he was building this for political leverage and things of that nature and blackmail. Why would they allow him? Like, if you're gonna take him off the chessboard, so to speak, why allow him to be arrested? Why have this messy suicide in jail? Why not just whack the guy? It doesn't make any sense to me that they don't kill him before they prosecute him.
I agree. I think their hands were forced. So the case against him had barrel rolled into a point where they had to do something, and if he had just died then the rest of the stuff really would have the calls would have been even louder than they are now, because it would have looked like there was no attempt to hold him to justice.
I know, but having him kill himself in prison though didn't exactly calm things down.
Do with a bad situation. That's the best they could do, and the CIA does the best they could do with a bad situation, and it goes wrong over and over again. And this is what I think happened. But that's my own opinion on that.
Sure.
If I could jump in just on one more really intelligence cue that we just have not hit on, is the third person in the ring that was being prosecuted for these light crimes, that was in with Ghislaine and Epstein. And you can see him on one of their planes with an IDF hat and rocking the IDF hat over at some of the properties as well. Jean-Luc Brunel. And again, this is somebody who's involved in the fashion industry, because if you want to curry favor with people, pretty young girls and pretty young women is a good way to do it. For those that don't know, Brunel was being charged in Spain and allegedly committed suicide there as well. And I'm not saying he didn't commit suicide there. I can only imagine, the prison system and what might have been going on there. I do think you can get people to kill themselves in prison. However, when I look at the Epstein evidence in particular, the coroner's report, the fact that you did not have a suicide in that institution for 13 years, and it was the same institution they kept El Chapo, who, again, had actually escaped from prison in other countries. That facility should have been airtight, and the videos that they've presented today, they're kind of a joke to me. I'm not going to lie. But again,
is there anything to that minute gap in the video, do you guys think?
Again, I'm not even going to weigh in, even though I'm a video editor and I do those sorts of things. I will say this: the video manipulation has been extremely easy for a very, very long time. If you look at the court cases where they were going to or tried to prosecute the guards that quote unquote fell asleep, and how that case kind of fell apart at the end, you have to wonder again, what was going on with those two, who had access to the original tapes, or if you could mess with the live feed and the tape would look like that. All of that is a very, very real thing. I mean, espionage does exist, everybody.
So let me throw it over to Stephen for the last question, because we got to wrap. I'm trying to play the role of somebody who's just watching this for the first time and figuring all this out. What we've heard today was that Epstein may have been, and I'm saying may because I know you guys have made a later case. I'm just saying to be objective. May have been involved with intelligence, may have been building a honeypot operation to blackmail people, and then may have killed himself or not. And the evidence presented may or may not have been altered. This is all what's out there, right? Whether it was other countries, whether it's just the United States, whether, whatever. But here's my question. Donald Trump's president now, right? He ran on transparency. He says he was going to release the JFK files. That was one of the promises he made to Robert Kennedy Jr. He releases the JFK files. He releases the RFK files. Of course, they're redacted, whether or not you believe they're real or not. Again, I always go back to the fact that I don't think intelligence is going to keep detailed records for 70 years just to release them and expose themselves. So I don't know how valuable those files release. Anyway, but he does release them, right? Same thing with the Epstein files. He says, we're going to release the Epstein files, right? And he says, we're just going to be transparent. We're going to give all this stuff out. I think there becomes a point where what people know and don't know that they have or don't have could play a factor into the Pam Bondi thing, the binder thing. Maybe they thought there was more there than it was there. Maybe they were just trying to keep promises and hoping nobody knows. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is, and I don't think we're ever really going to know. But here's the question at the end of the day. Donald Trump is probably, arguably,